Hi peeps, welcome back. I'm Zan, and this is, I believe, the third video of the Figma Into the Wild series. In this session we are going to go back to the index page and we're going to add these sort of tiles to our web page in Figma. And as you can see, we've actually got a little bit of shadows that make them jump out a bit. We will also go back to the two adverts we made in the last video and add the shadows to that as well, and that will basically complete our home page, allowing us to start creating it in code, or perhaps going on to add one of these pages as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. So here we are, using the Chrome browser because it's not working perfectly with Firefox at the moment, and we need to obviously log in like I've done into the wild and open up our index page. And we're going to zoom in a bit so that we can, that's the shift button and the mouse wheel, or you can do Control plus, but that only gives you certain zoom points. And so what we are looking at doing now is, like I said before, is to add some of the tiles on the bottom. So as you can see, we've actually already got one of these overlays. In fact, we've got about 2 overlays on at the moment. So let us just get rid of that single column one for the moment. So this is the blue overlay, which we used partly for this video here. And what we want to do is to increase the gutter, actually have rather large gutters for this one. So we'll use the same, oops, there we go. What we're going to do, we want to have a gutter of about, let's see what 100 looks like. Yeah, a gutter of about 100, in fact. Yeah, because that's, we know that that is 75 there. Let's see what 85 looks like. I think we'll work with that. Okay, so we have the margins of 75, and so the external margins of 75, and now we've got 3 columns that we're going to be working with for the next bit. And so just like we did before, all we need to do is to create a rectangle and sort of resize it correctly. Okay, so let's get a rectangle and let's just draw it in for the moment. Let's set the height. Now see, I don't like these off. You can see it's got a width of 393. I'm probably going to reduce it down to about 390. And then let's just get the height about there. So what I actually want to do is to set the width to 390 and the height to 520. Now, can I go back into here? Because I need to, I really want them to sort of be the correct positioning. So oh, it looks like that might be right actually, a gutter of 90. Let's just zoom in. So that tells us it's in line, and that gives us a width of 90. So that was not made up, that was pure chance. I seem to be doing quite lucky on chances at the moment. So there we go, a gutter of 90 gave me some nicely sized tiles. Zoom out a bit. So like we did before, we are going to put a 20 pixel radius corner on them. And then our next thing is to actually input an image. As before, we are using Unsplash. And if you go into, again, I should put the link of this into the descriptions downstairs, into the descriptions below for you, so you can get hold of them all. Okay, so it's all in a collection in Unsplash. And so the first one we're going to use is this waterfall in the rainforest. So click on that and download large into Figma, place image, select my waterfall and dump it in there. And actually I really like that placement. I think that works really, really well. I think that looks very nice. So I'm not going to move that around. I think that's basically spot on. If you remember, we did talk about a shadow on this, so I believe that is in the effects. Drop shadow. It looks like it's already in there. Let's just see what that looks like. This doesn't give us much information. Okay, you can see there's a small drop shadow, but it helps lift it out a bit, but I like it a bit stronger than that. So let's just see what information we have. So I'm going to give the X and Y 5 pixels each. Okay, looks like it's going for a 25% transparency. Let's bring it up to 50. There you go, it's a lot stronger. We'll leave the blur at 4. In fact, we'll put the blur to 5, just so everything's 5. Yeah. To me, that makes it feel like it's jumping out the page a bit more. Okay, so 50%, 5 blur, 5x, 5y worked quite nicely. And so before we forget, we shall apply that to these two up here as well. Now, these, as we know, are already inside groups, so we need to go to the add back. That's it, and then we can add the effect of the drop shadow, and again 5, 5, 5 and 50, and then we'll need to repeat that for the add 2, and then add effect, drop shadow, 5, 5, 5, keep it black, 50. And now when we go and view it in here, yeah, let's say the drop shadow just sort of helps it lift off a bit. We're not going to do it to this main one at the top here because it is going right across. We could perhaps add a bottom shadow and see if that makes a difference. Let's just quickly do that. So it is the main edge we want to go into. It's actually the picture that we need to add that to. So effects, drop shadow, and then it's going to be 5, 0 on X, 5 there, and then again 50. We'll just see how that looks. And again, you can see even just on the Y, it lifts it off the paper or the screen. Okay, so it's a much sort of nicer, and because these are smaller, it tends to give it a, in my opinion, you know, a better effect. So the next thing to add along here is obviously the sort of banner that we used before. Okay, sort of semi-transparent top. So let's do that. And for the moment, let's just go back into here and let's just hide the 3 columns. And so rectangle, I'm just going to whack it over the top, make sure it's in line. Yeah. Okay, and so the fill we need to change, and we want this. Use the same one as we do for the navigation and for the footer. Okay, so we've got nice consistency across. Because we're using a semi-transparent green background, using green text, although that could work, you know, you sort of lose a bit of effectiveness. So instead we're going to use white text so that it stands out a bit more. So white text, and we're just going to click and drag over. And you can see the text isn't right at the moment, so it's sign whatever it's called. There you go, Synopape, and we want it white. Okay, we're going to want it centered and size. I can always mess about with it, but size 36 I think should be about right. So jungle tracks, and then enter twice from £699 per person. Okay, so now we've done that, what we want to do is perhaps just move the text so it's more centered in the banner itself, and then we've got to ask ourselves, is this in the right place? Should we move it down a bit, or is that okay there? And I'll say it's okay. You know, for what we're doing for today, I think it's absolutely fine. And so as we did before, what we want to do is start putting everything together. So we've got rectangle 1 here, rectangle 2, and then the text. Okay, so we're going to select those 3, and we're going to group. Just close these ones down, and let's rename it, and we'll call that Mini 3-1. And again, I'm going to drag it below add to, because that's where it is in it. Now we've done that, I can do Control C, Control V to move the next one out, and then do the same again, Control V to get the next one out. Okay, so we've got Mini 1, so this is going to be Mini 1-2. So Mini 3-2, and likewise this will be, well, that's 1. Let's put you there. It'll be Mini 3-3. So then we go back to the surface book. Oh, it looks like I accidentally closed or deleted the other grid, but let's just put this one invisible so we can get these. Now we've got the layout grid visible, we can get these into the right place, and again we can use the arrow keys, which is what I'm doing here, to make sure it's in line better. And I just want to try and get it so it, there we go, so it matches up with that one there. And then do the same as this one here. Claim it's at the same height, so that's good. I didn't actually check the height differences here, or did I? Let's have a look. Let me just zoom out a bit. There you go, that's the same 30 as the others, so we can move that up. So we've got consistency in the horizontal guttering. So what we now need to do is to customize these. So this middle one is going to be wolf watching. So we need to open it up, and of course we need to replace that image. First of all, we need to download the image. So let's go back over here, and where's Mr. Wolf? There he is. I don't know if wolf watching is even a activity people will do, but it sounds pretty cool. So while we're here, we also download a Firestarter one as well. Thank you, Ian, and thanks, Jonathan. Okay, so we go back over here, and let's see if this is just as easy to replace. So this one, we want it to be the wolf. Open. Yep, and again, the auto positioning in Figma seems to be pretty good. And while I'm here, I might as well do it for the other one. So again, place image, sticks and stones. Perfect. All we have to do now is to change the text. So in this one, instead of jungle tracks, it is wolf watching. And then from £399 per person. And this one over here, basic survival, courses from £99 per person. And we're just going to view that, and look at that. I mean, how easy has this been to sort of make this design? Okay, wider gaps here. They don't have to be wider, but again, if we're thinking about a responsive design, these gaps here will be our saviour. Then the only thing we've got left to do is the 4 minis. So let's go back over here, and first of all, let's set up the grid to make it a bit easier. Just close those down. So back to surface bit. I want to add another column. I want it to have 4. The margin was at 75. Let's just see what it said in this one. Yeah, margin 75, stretch auto cut at 90. Let's just change this colour. We can't use green. We've already had red, although we deleted it, but we'll want to keep red. So let's go for yellow won't show up. Green won't show up. Yeah, we have a bit of problems when we get into colours. So I'll use that one. What we'll do, whoops, don't need to do that. We will hide this one, and then we can think about the spacing between our columns, the guttering, and again 20 on it bigger now. Let's go for 50, and let's just see what that means these are. So let's bring out a rectangle. Okay, let's make sure we match it up properly. There you go. Seriously, I've got it right at 300. That was again a true fluke, but that's quite nice. Yep, I say 300 looks good to me. But I think we're going to need to shrink this down to about 200. As before, we're going to put in the 20 radius edges. We want to add drop shadow, just see what other things we can do, inner shadows, blurs and all that. Okay, so drop shadow, and we'll do it like we had before, so 5 blur, 5 on the X, 5 on the Y, keep it black and 50%. Okay, and again let's add in the image which we need to download. Okay, so we've got 4 of these to download. First one is this guy. So thank you, Kyle, for this one. Next one is our mountain climber, the Nutter. Oh, he's over water, who cares? So thank you, Hugh, for that. Next one is our camping one, which is this one here. I really like this photo and I'm really gutted that we're actually going to cut a lot of it out. I'll probably repurpose it later on. And this is from Jonathan, so thank you, Jonathan. And the final one is the Kite Surfer from Tim. Thank you, my man. Okay, so now they're downloaded. Let's go back in and we click into here, place the image, and this one is this guy. In you go. And again, almost perfect setting. And once more, we're going to add another rectangle, and it's just going to go across. Yeah, 85 sounds about right. Again, use that semi-transparent color, and put in title. Hopefully the settings should all be the same, so if it's come back to black, racist. Okay, so Forest Tracks. Now I think that's a bit too big font, so let's see what happens when I go to 30. I really want you to stretch across. Okay, let's center it. No, it's still too big, isn't it? So I think 24 is just a bit too small. Let's go for 28. 28 looks okay. And now all we need to do is to move it more center into it, and I think that looks quite nice. And so again, I'll just show me that I haven't done the capital F there. So we've got forest, rectangle. In fact, let's do the renaming like we've done before. Some of them, image. Send me back. Okay, and so shift click to select all 3, right click, group, right click, rename, mini 4.1. And again, let's move it to where it should be, which is below mini 1, mini 3. And now we want to do Control C, and then paste 1, paste 2, paste 3. Let's take paste number 2 and move it over. I'll tell you what we haven't done. Okay, we'll have to do that in a moment. I didn't do the 30 pixel distance, but we'll have to sort that out in a moment. This one here, so this is number 3. Let's move that out. And then number 4, let's move you out. No, actually, they're not vertically in the same place. They are. They are. And they are. Okay, so let's rename them. Min242, Min43, Min44. And then we need to go into number 2, and let's also deal with the image. Let's change it to our mountain climber. Perfect. And then the text is mountain climbing. What a surprise. And then would help if I could spell climbing. Let's zoom in a bit. And then let's move this text up so it's more centered. There you go. And let's go into this one. This is the camping holiday one, so image, open. Now this is one where it hasn't done it right. Now that is a lovely crop of it, but it's not the part that we want. So I'm just gone to crop, and I'm using the up button just to move it into place. Now you can see here I'm going too far. I'm just going to have it drop just under to make sure that we've caught it. Press enter. There we go. And let's change this to camping. In fact, we're going to put holidays on the next line. And so now we need to just recenter that text. Okay. And then we have our final one. Let's just close. 2, 3, and 4 here. And this is the Kite Surfer. Place image and Kite Surfer. There you go. Again, looks perfect to me. So kite surfing and water sports. Now, we've got 2 R's and surfing there. So this is on 3 lines, so this is the first time on that one. Will that all fit on? Just. Okay, so it just fits. So kite surfing and water sports. In fact, I think that camping holiday ones could move up a bit, but we won't worry about that. So the next thing we want to do is just resize their vertical positions. Because we want to keep the 30 pixel gap. And so mini 4, click it up, and that's annoying. I was hoping it to give me that 30 pixel thing, but it's not showing up. Okay, so let's try and do the math. So let's click on this one. Y 2230 with a height of 520. So that is 2750. Yeah, 2750. So I want it at 2780 for this one. Have I done it right? That's there. Now when I move this one up, there you go. This is now matching up. Perfect. So there. Now where the heck is my footer gone? Oh, poor foot has been kicked out over here. So now what I want to do with my footer is to bring it in. And as you saw there, it was already finding its center alignment. There doesn't have to be a set distance between these and the footer, but we see we've got a little bit of space at the bottom, so we're going to cut that off. So let's make it 3040. Height of 60, that makes it 3100. So let's knock it at 50 pixels below. So 3150. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have our home page for the Into the Wild, and that's what it looks like. I really hope you followed along and you've got the same as me. Any issues, please do comment, let me know. But as far as I'm aware, that is the end of this video. I'm quite chuffed with where we've got to. And in the next video, I don't know, we'll be looking at one of these. So, why is it about me? That was a bit of a mistake, and it should be about us, surely. Yes, it should be about us. That's a whoopsie. We'll get that sorted, no problem. So, that's the end of this video. As usual, please like, subscribe, and comment. And, you know, if you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. But, as always, please tell me why it's a thumbs down. In fact, please tell me why it's a thumbs up. I'll see you guys in the next video. This is Zen, signing out.